can you start by talking about what were your biggest concerns or what you feel you need to clean up most coming out of yesterday's game and this two-game stretch defensively you faced?
I'd say the last two games, well, number one, after yesterday, I think, obviously they had a few explosive passes on us, which are passes over 16 yards. So we want to do a better job on the top end of staying on top of receivers. The second thing, I think the low red, I was disappointed in our low red zone just because we worked pretty hard at it and thought we had identified those plays during the week. But as it turned out, we just didn't execute well enough to keep out of the end zone. There was a 2-point play and another pass that, I would like to have back.
How do you feel you've had a run of injuries in the secondary there? How did you feel they held up overall yesterday as a group?
Well, we didn't have to substitute much. Obviously, there wasn't much. We don't have a lot of depth, but I thought that they held up okay. They played physical, which I was pleased to see. Sometimes when you're banged up a little bit, you tend to get a little softer around the attack. But I thought that the guys played aggressive. They did play the entire game. The rookie and Worley, both those two kind of handled most of the game on the corner. But I thought they both did a decent job. Again, I don't know that there was a lot of winning grades going along on the back end, but at the same time, they played hard, and like I said, they continued to mix it up throughout the game.
Mike, how do you explain the explosive plays, and I mean, not just the big plays, but the wide open receivers, and just coverage bunch, the safety's not helping, but there are several wide open receivers there. Certainly you give Trayvon credit for coming back and making the play and knocking the ball through the end zone, but
I think some of it is technique related, allowing guys to get on top of you when you should stay on top if you're a deep zone defender. I think a couple times, I believe a couple guys got their eyes in the wrong place. Obviously that nothing's ever intentional when someone makes a mistake. I mean, they want to perform well, and so when they do, a lot of times it's technique based, and part of technique is just having your eyes in the right place. If you don't see it, obviously you're not going to cover it. And I think that's something we need to clean up just a little bit more. But that was more it. Like I said, just lack of discipline. I think about staying on top at times, and then the other part would just be a lack of eye control.
And is that more in the corners or the safeties? Are the safeties not getting over to help, or they're not seeing it to help out?
I think they shared it pretty much on the back end. It wasn't one or the other. I think there was enough to go around for both positions.
Mike, where do you think the confidence level is of your entire group right now?
I still think they're good. I would kind of judge it by the way they play, and I thought our guys played very hard to the very end, which they've done for 3 weeks now, and I think they do believe that. Look, there's a lot of really good football in there, but as we all well know, the ones that scored points are the ones that get the most attention, and that's what we've got to get better at, because obviously it's a game of points. And but outside of that, like I said, there's a lot of good football played in between. I mean, we were out 3 and out in the first 4 out of the first 5 series in the ball game. So obviously, we have an ability to get off the field and get off in a hurry, but we have to maintain that throughout the game and into the second half. And we did not do that. So, again, like I said, I think if every series was a bad series, I think the confidence would get shaken. But like I said, there was a lot of good football mixed in with the explosives. The other thing is the explosives sometimes, in some part and way, don't involve all 11. Although everybody on the field would be involved, because you'd say, look, a little more pressure, and we don't have that ball going down the field, which is very true. But they're all working hard, and. So I think the confidence is, at this point is still good.
And as you're flying home, are you looking at that game on the plane on the ride home? Is it exasperating at times? Because, as you said, sometimes some of it's really good, and then some of it's just not. What's the plane ride home after a game like last night?
That's a good question. Obviously it's disappointing, because when you're sitting down there getting ready to watch it, because we watch it. As soon as we get on the plane, they usually hand out the iPads, and we get to watch it even prior to the takeoff. And we grade it at the same time. But I would say that, it's just look, it's disappointing to lose, and in particular when you give up big plays, that always kind of hurts you even more. I think the most disappointing thing was at the end of the game when we had him in a situation where we could have won the game, or at least, I think been pretty close to it. Had we stopped him on the fourth down, that was a big play in the ball game for us anyhow. So there's little battles here and there that disappoint more than others. But like I said, it's always hard to grade a film when you lose. It's much harder than it is when you win. It's easy to grade a film.
Mike, would you consider any personnel changes among the guys that you do have who haven't played as much, or do you want to keep rolling with what you have, at least for now?
Well, for right now, there's a lot of players, for example, playing in the D-line. We take 8 or 9 to the game. I believe 8 of them got a good bit of reps, and then one of them may have only had a couple reps. So they're all repping the guys that go. Being a 4-3 naturally, that's too deep at a spot. So a lot of guys are still getting reps in that position. At linebacker, as you well know, we only have a couple players anyway on the depth chart. So it's not as though, putting someone in would make a difference at this point because we're playing with our best. And then the secondary, the same thing kind of goes. There's not a lot of room for working people in, but at the same time, we have confidence in the guys we have, and we're just trying to, keep getting better. If we take them out, then obviously we're not developing ourselves either. So we need to, unless somebody's just really not holding their own, we need to take them out. But for the time being, we need to keep trying to improve.
I know you're not in the excuse game, but it seemed clear that you guys had a pretty steep curve just based on what went on in the offseason. At what point have you been far enough into the season that you can say, okay, now it's time for some of this stuff to take hold?
Well, to be honest with you, it didn't show much yesterday, but I was pleased. We did not have a whole lot of mental errors, pre-snap errors. We had some after the snap, obviously, because that's what causes the explosive plays that happen. But they were much better yesterday than they were in their first 2 games. So that's a good improvement as far as that goes. But you're right. I mean, we're to start with, our systems were not in place when we all began. But look. Nobody looks at that, neither do we when it comes to win-losses. It's about winning games, and however you can manage that, we need to do and do a better job of it.
Mike, last week we talked to you about some guys, especially your pass rushers, going back and forth between 2-point stance, 3-point stance. How do you think some of your pass rushers handled that in the Seattle game?
Well, it was an entirely different rush plan, as you well know, when you face Russell Wilson, and so I thought the guys actually did a good job with the plan. There's probably a little less than a half a dozen times where I thought that we didn't execute the plan very well on the edges or in the middle, but outside of that, I thought they did a fairly good job. As you well know, we had 4 sacks in the game. 3 of them were Alden's, but nonetheless, he's one of our guys, and he got a lot of, he got good play in there. But there was other guys that were stirring the pocket and things. But I thought we made a good step in the right direction as far as the pass rush goes. And I still think we're continuing to get better and better in the run defense, which will be challenged again this week with Cleveland.
Well, you have your secondary guys with issues with their eyes or even communication. How much do you try to talk to your 2 DB coaches about, hey, let's fix some of this stuff, let's try to help them a little bit more? Or do you even change what you're doing in terms of calling the game? And you thought about maybe I need to be on the field a little bit more, or do you still want to step in the box?
No, I'll stay in the box. If I thought that would make us better to go down, I would. But you can see so much more from up above, and obviously since the coach to player contact has been made, easy from the standpoint I can talk to the, as a play caller, I can talk to the guy on the field, the player on the field making the call. So I don't have any intention of coming down. But no, we just need to continue to coach them. I think we have spent a lot of time. Making our structuring our coverages and everything in a way that's very thorough and covers all our bases. We just didn't execute very well on a few plays, and that's what hurt us. Not so much how they're structured, but just the execution of it.
Mike, why do you think Alden's been able to hit the ground running like he has, despite all the time he took off, and then also just in your time coaching, is there any players that you've seen that you could compare him to?
There's no one that I can compare him to, only because I hadn't coached a player that's been through what he's been through the last 4 years prior to coming back. That's kind of a unique situation. and being out of ball. So it'd be hard, like I said, I can't really compare him to anyone, but he is doing a very good job. He's playing very aggressively. He's about 20, 25 pounds heavier than he was last time he played. So his game has actually changed a little bit as well from the standpoint of the things he does well and the things he can do. He's always been a versatile player, but when you put on 25 pounds, it changes some of that versatility. It maybe take a little versatility away from you, but then again, it might help you in another area too as far as strength goes, because he shows a lot of strength in his game, more strength than I think he showed as a younger player.
Mike, there was a play late in the game where Tristan Hill had a gator roll type of tackle on running back Chris Carson, grabbed him by the ankle, kind of rolled him around, causing a knee sprain. Seahawks were pretty upset about it. The head coach today said he was pissed about it. Others who've seen the play consider it dirty. Is that tackle form something you coach, and do you have a problem with the tackle form?
First off, it's not something we coach or teach. If you do roll with a player, a lot of time it is to protect the player when you grab them around their midsection. Like when you tackle a quarterback, a gator roll, so to speak, as people call it, is something that you might do just to protect, so you don't, what do they call it, where you just kind of flop on the quarterback. So guys will tackle that way. I saw the play that you're talking about. I know the player, and that's first and foremost in my mind. And Tristan Hill is not a dirty player by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's an excellent young man, and I don't think he had any intention to hurt that player. I know he plays with a tremendous energy, and he plays with a lot of excitement. If you watch his game, he's moving all the time. He's running around. He's getting up off the ground. He's just as active as can be, and I think he was just in his mind just finishing the play before he hopped up, and it was unfortunate. But like I said, I don't believe there's any malicious intent at all to hurt the running back.
The team has allowed 77 points the past 2 games.
Yeah.
30 of those, which obviously, is a number you want to see come down, but 30 of those points came with the opponent starting off in your guys' side of the field, in your guys' territory. Mm-hmm. Just those sudden change opportunities, they've popped up 6 times in your own territory, I think 7 times overall the past 2 weeks. What are you looking for out of your defense, and overall, how do you feel your team has responded, or your defense has responded to it?
Well, we haven't responded. We didn't respond very well the other day, that's for sure. They had 2, and we gave up touchdowns on both of them. So obviously, that's not the way to respond. As a defense, that's your job. It's what. I don't want to say you look forward to going out in the field, because as a defensive player, a lot of time you want to get off the field. That's your job, to get the ball back for the offense. But when we have to go out there, look, it's pure and simple. It's our job to go out and stop, regardless of where we have to go on the field. And good defenses take that challenge on, with an excitement to show everybody how good they are. And we need to get to that spot. And we're not, obviously we're not there right now. But I'd like to think we'll get there at some point, and hopefully sooner than later.
We'll finish up here with Saad.
Mike, I know it changes from play to play, but just generally speaking, what are you kind of looking for from Xavier Woods at his safety position, and how did you feel that he played on Sunday?
Mm-hmm. I think Xavier held his own for the game. He wasn't involved in a lot of plays, just some. I thought the prior 2 games he might have been involved a little bit more, but what we are looking for Xavier out of the position is, number one, he's got versatility in his game. He can play down near the box, he can play deep, he can play half, he can play middle, third, and I really think that plays to his strength as an overall football player, which helps us defensively. I think versatility at the safety position is vital in order to be good, because quarterbacks have their eyes on you a lot of the time, and if you're always doing the same thing, that gives a quarterback, a good beat on what you're doing defensively. So his job is to do a multitude of things, and I think he does them well. Like I said, as far as yesterday's game goes, there just wasn't a lot of action in his area, but he was a part of a couple of the plays down the field, and so outside of that, that's what I'm looking for from him.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you.